Side Decorating Center. Good morning to you. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. And we're going to spend part of this hour talking about something that's happening tomorrow called Give Local. You just heard the news story about it that Michael Percha had. And we're going to talk a little more in depth about it because this has been going on for quite some time, and we've been pleased to do a show leading into it, I think, every year for I don't know how many years now. But a couple of folks visiting with us this morning. First of all, the President and CEO of the Bay Area Community Foundation. We say good morning to Shauna Walraven. Shauna, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. And from the Midland Foundation, we have its president, Sharon Mortensen. Sharon, good morning.
Good morning, Art. It's great to be with you all. Thanks so much, and look forward to talking about Give Local across our region.
I was trying to think, Sharon, you would know how many years have we been doing this?
Well, it varies from community foundation to community foundation. I know Midland Area Community Foundation started in 2014. I think we were the first, and then Bay followed not very long behind us, and then Mount Pleasant after that.
So let's talk, gals, about the philosophy of Give Local for each of your foundations. Shauna, let's start with you. What's it all about?
Sure. So it's just a day of fun and collaboration and really to energize people in the community through social media and through fun events to think about their local nonprofits and how they can support them and support their endowments. And so for as little as $10, people can show some love to our nonprofits and help them build that long-term capital that is needed in our communities.
Sound the same in Midland?
Yes, Art, very, we take the same kind of philosophy that Shauna was describing, because we're really after building long-term sustainability for nonprofit organizations that do such important work in all of our communities. So that's what it's all about, and it is a fun day. It's a fun competition to work together to raise money that ultimately benefits our entire community.
So let me ask it this way. In your various communities, what's different about Give Local than giving any other day of the year? Shauna?
So it's really it's an opportunity to access our prize and incentive funds. So we have various prizes throughout the day, and some things such as Lunch Rush. So the nonprofit who gets the most donations around lunchtime will earn a prize. And so it's really helping those nonprofits access those prize and incentive funds as well as a matching pool of funds.
Sharon?
Yeah, and again, I would agree. Giving any time is always wonderful, but giving on Give Local, as Shauna was mentioning, there are prizes that nonprofits can receive. There's a matching pool of funds. And really, there's a lot of energy, publicity around this day. So it helps our nonprofits because awareness is so great. And for people, everyone seems to enjoy a competition, a friendly competition where everyone wins. And this seems to motivate people to want to give. The other thing that I think is really special about Give Local is often it will pull in new donors who have not given before, and it will connect them with nonprofit organizations as they give that day. You know, they give to their endowment funds held at the community foundations. So it also helps to grow donors, and many times younger and maybe smaller donors.
Let me ask this, Sharon. When someone tomorrow gives in the Give Local program, can they designate any nonprofit they want, or does it have to be one that's under the umbrella of the community foundation?
Yes, it does have to be a nonprofit that has an endowment fund at the community foundation, but there are plenty to choose from. I know we have the most participating we've ever had, so we have 80 different organizational funds participating. So there's plenty to choose from. But yes, they're all nonprofits that hold an endowment fund at the community foundation.
Same thing in Bay, Shauna?
Yes, we also have the most ever, over 60 nonprofits participating this year. So we're very excited.
What accounts for that? Do you have any idea?
I think it's the enthusiasm around it. We're really promoting it and trying to help nonprofits in an uncertain time for fundraising. Federal funding is in question for some of our nonprofits, and so we're really helping them try to diversify the funding that they have available. And so we're trying to create, I've been saying, a lot of hoopla around the event this year. So we're trying some different things, bringing food trucks to the Pere Marquette Depot, doing a dunk tank, offering scoops for a cause in the afternoon, as well as our normal Sip Sip Hooray happy hour after work.
Sharon, explain to everyone the concept of an endowment fund. What's its purpose?
Sure.
What does it do, and how can it be used?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So an endowment fund is really they're forever dollars that will continue to grow, earn interest, and be able to give back. And so for nonprofits that have established endowment funds, this is long-term sustainable funding for that organization. Money from that endowment, it will grow, it will go every year to this nonprofit organization, helping them with funding. So it's a beautiful way for nonprofits to have that long sustainability, those funds that we know they're going to need year after year.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's the interest generated by the endowment that's used, because most endowments are restricted in terms of being used just to support a budget, for example.
Correct. So there are permanent dollars that are forever in that endowment fund, but you're right, the earnings from that are what organizations can pull, and community foundations have a certain percentage that's available for those nonprofits or really any endowment fund holder to use on an annual basis for their charitable interests, or in the case of nonprofits, to benefit that nonprofit organization. So it's a beautiful way, and we see the power of endowments. I know yesterday we had a scholarship program up in Clare County, one of the communities we serve, and there's an endowment fund, a scholarship endowment that was started there with $31,000. Since it was started, and it's been about 20 years ago, they have helped 36 students. They have given out over $50,000, and their current value is $60,000. So it really speaks to the beauty of what endowments can do when they just grow and are forever able to help an organization, or in that instance that I just used, a scholarship donor, and helping students to continue their education. So yeah, endowments are a beautiful thing, and that's what community foundations are founded upon, that principle of those forever dollars that help the places where we live.
Shauna, if a nonprofit wants to start an endowment, what do they need to do? What are the legal ramifications?
Really just give us a call so we can talk through it. It's an easy process to set up, but there are, as you mentioned, some documents we need to talk about and a process there. So really just reach out to any of the community foundations, and we'd be happy to walk you through that.
All right, let's talk about Give Local tomorrow, Shauna. Somebody wants to give to one of your endowment nonprofits. When they give, where do they mark that down? How do they give? Let's put it that way. How did they give?
Sure. So we will be taking donations. Really, it's intended to be an online platform, a day of giving. So www.givelocalbay or givelocalmidland or givelocalisabella.org, or giving us a call in our offices, or we're hosting offline donations as well at our location at the Pere Marquette Depot, 1000 Adams Street in Bay City.
And when someone gives, is there a list of all of the nonprofits that have endowments with you, so people know what they can give?
Absolutely. Our participating organizations are listed with a little description about it. So if people are unsure, just take a look, and I bet there will be many things you'll be torn about which to give to.
True in Midland also, Sharon?
Yeah, absolutely. When someone goes to Give Local, in our case, Midland.org, so it makes it super easy to remember, either Give Local Bay or givelocalmidland.org. They'll see the list of nonprofits, and each nonprofit actually puts in a little description of who they are, their logo, so you can find out a little bit of information. But you could pick multiple nonprofits when you go on to Give Local, the Give Local website. So if you wanted to give to 8 different organizations, 10, you can pick the nonprofits and the amount that you would like to give to each one. So you can give in terms of whatever you are passionate about, whatever causes you'd like to support in our communities.
Just as an aside, what has the uncertainty in the stock market done for you folks? Shauna, I hear you chuckling.
I think we're feeling the same as everyone is feeling. We, take a very conservative approach because, as Sharon mentioned, we're building forever, so we're looking for the long term. But definitely,
you really do have fiduciary responsibilities, don't you?
Absolutely, and so we take those very seriously and monitor that very closely.
Sharon?
Yeah, and same. I mean, obviously, we see the value of our endowments change as we see stock market changes. But we know that over the long term that these funds grow. So when we look back in history at other times when we've faced some severe downs in the stock market, that we know that these funds are forever dollars, and they will continue to grow over the long term. But no, it does make uncertainty, certainly. And I think for, our nonprofits with some of the cuts that may be coming or have come, I know there's uncertainty. So we're hoping that this year, individuals in our communities will really respond and say, we want to help, and we understand there are a lot of unknowns right now, and we really want to help.
More important now than ever, maybe.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Shauna, Sharon, good luck tomorrow. Let's hope it's another great day, as it always has been. And we hope you raise a lot of money for your charities.
Well, thanks, Art, and thanks for the opportunity just to talk about this on your show today. And we want to encourage everyone to give local tomorrow, either givelocalbay.org or givelocalmidland.org. So come online and join the fun and give local.
And just in case you can't do it tomorrow, the other 64 days of the year, they are more than willing to accept your donation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Shauna and Sharon, thanks a lot. Have yourself a very successful day tomorrow.
Thank
All right.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Jeff.
Yep. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Give Local Bay, Give Local Midland, and Give Local Isabella are the campaigns. By the way, all the other foundations around here, while they don't participate in that particular event, are more than happy to have your donations. We will take a break for the remainder of the hour. It's open phones, 989-752-6111.
Get away from violence and to have a better life. And he was not happy with the way Trump treated people.
Gene, here's the thing. I do respect the Pope. I respected Pope Francis, and he was a man of the people, no doubt about it. But you can't have a country with a sieve for a border. You have to have a secure border.
I agree with you. I mean, we can't have these gangs coming over here, but it's, you'll notice Trump has never said anything about the gangs that came from Russia. But anyway, the Pope was not happy with Trump.
Yeah, we know.
And now, you see, he has put a picture of himself from AI on all the different
it's pretty dumb
computer things of himself dressed as Pope Francis. Yeah. Trump is the man that is incapable of showing compassion, understanding, or showing any mercy to other people. Wow. And I just think it is so sickening. He has said that he wished he could be Pope. I mean, it is disgusting to see him dressed as the Pope. Well, that's all I got to say about that. I just think
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that one. I looked at it and went, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Thank you.
Just as, but you know what though? I mean, that's Trump, for better or worse. We knew what we were getting. Absolutely knew what they were getting with Trump. He's never hid it. He's always been this way.
You know, they have all this talk that people's brains aren't completely developed till they're 24. And they say all the younger people, they got all their political information off of TikTok and other things like that. I sometimes wonder that maybe we should raise the voting age to 24. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you wonder, some of these kids, they don't read the newspaper, they don't listen to all the different news stations.
Well, let me point something out to you, Gene. Let me point something out to you, Gene. There are many, many, many adults who don't go to the polls and vote with any kind of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have anything to do with age.
You're right. You're right. But I just wish, you know, like they're saying about AI right now, a lot of these kids, instead of studying their books, they get the answers off of AI.
Yeah, that's going to.
This is terrible for our country, because the next generation has to run this country.
Yep.
And if they don't know how to solve problems and think for themselves,
they know how to solve problems. They go to AI and AI solves their problems. That's the problem. They don't know how to think for themselves.
Right.
Gene, I've got to go because I'm late for a break here. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Yep.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Charlie Root here.
All right, we're back with you, and before we get back to our phones, Carl, hang on just a moment or so. A young skull full of mush is in the studio with me this morning because he had a reaction to Gene's comments.
Yeah, I just heard that, and we were talking about differences in generations last week, Art, and it brought up a few thoughts on my end. Being a member of that younger generation, I've heard it brought up, raise the voting age to 24, 25, whatever. That is a wonderful way to alienate young people.
Yeah.
And tick them off.
That does no good because they're not the only ones that don't go to the poll with great knowledge of who they're voting for.
No, and the comment that the next generation is going to lead, and I've heard that said all over, let them then. Stop voting these old farts into office.
Well, they have to, the next generation, because the old ones are going to die out.
They're going to, but...
Now, whether they do it as a young generation or have to wait till they're older to do it, that's to be seen.
Yep, and kind of the excuse there is these people have decades of governing the nation. Of course they should be trusted with it. They got decades because they were elected in when they were younger.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm not a fan of term limits. But nor am I a fan of older legislators simply because they're older and should be wiser because they're not often.
No.
So, all right. There you go. You said your piece.
Thank you.
And we'll let you know if you have to change your voting. Anyway, let's talk to Carl in Saginaw. Carl, good morning. You're on WSGW.
Yes, good morning, Art. You were talking about the Pope a few minutes ago. I'm not a big follower of who's going to be the next Pope, but I did hear a discussion, and they were talking about, will the next Pope, will he come from Asia? Will he come from Africa? Will he come from Europe? And somebody on the panel said, well, what about a Pope from the United States? And everybody on the panel was like, oh, no, that'll never happen. And then they went on to something else. And do you know why there's never been a pope from America? And why that's
tradition,
not even on the table?
Tradition. And as far as there was mention, I can't think of who it was now. There is an American cardinal that was in the discussion because I had read it someplace, but it surprised me that there was even an American named. But the chances were not great. They're touting right now. It looks like Asia or South Africa. Now, what's going to be interesting about it, and I'm not Catholic, but for some reason, all my life, I sit around staring at the tube waiting for the white smoke. I don't know why I do it, but I do it. I just find it interesting history. And we have to remember now that out of the College of Cardinals, there are now, I think, 135 that qualify because they're under 80. And many of those were appointed by Pope Francis. So whether we get another incarnation of Pope Francis and who they are and what they believe, or whether we get a more conservative one, time will tell. But there are a couple of names that seem to be heading up the list. One from South Africa, one from Korea. I've seen quite a few. And, the funny thing about it is nobody knows.
Yeah, well, I don't really have a horse in this race either. I'm not Catholic, so I wanted to mention one other thing. Art, you were talking about Alcatraz and Trump's idea to, I keep thinking about Standish Max Prison up in Standish, Michigan. They built this, what I understand was like a $20 million high security prison up in and I don't think it ever even got used.
It was used for a short time.
A short 6 months or something.
Whatever
and then
it was,
closed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently there's a modern facility up there, that maybe they'd have to update some of the
reason for Alcatraz is there is no place more secure in the world because it's on an island. And that's the reason for Alcatraz. And that's why it was used when it was built. It housed the worst of the worst, and they weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, but people don't escape from maximum security.
Not normally.
They don't climb over the fence.
Not
they don't
normally.
Tunnel under the wall.
Not normally.
Not in a maximum security prison.
Yeah, there have been cases throughout the years of, occasionally. Not very often.
Well, no.
But don't rule anything out.
Well, then it could happen at Alcatraz, too.
That's never proven to be the case.
Well, the Birdman, didn't the Birdman get out of Alcatraz?
But they never found him. And nobody's ever escaped and lived to tell about it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I just think if we have a $20 million facility that's just sitting there already, maybe we should look at that.
I would not be against it. Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Good enough. Thanks. Yep. Bye-bye. And let's talk to Kitty in Auburn. Kitty, good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Art. How you doing, sweetheart?
Good. Doing well.
Oh, good, hon. Good. Hey, listen, sweetie. This is kind of a comment for Jean. Jean, you remember the comment you just made about the Pope's comment about walls? Don't you think that's kind of hypocritical? Since I believe the Vatican is walled in, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So that's kind of hypocritical, isn't it?
Oh, that's funny.
And,
I never thought. I should have thought of that. That's true.
Yeah, no. I was just having a peaceful day off when that comment came across the radio, and I figured I'd have to put in my 2 cents.
That's a good one.
And I got another thing for you, Jean. The comment about, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok personally, but I am in Facebook jail periodically, but I'm not on TikTok. And you say that that's corrupting our young kids. Well, you could kind of say the same thing about CNN corrupting the adults. So that's just my 2 cents. And just right now I heard Carl, and personally, Art, you thought that $20 million prison was a good deal. Hey, you know what? I really don't want these in Michigan, so Alcatraz Island sounds great to me,
Okay.
So, all right, you guys, you have a great day. And, Art, thanks for picking up my call.
All right, Kitty, thanks. Take care.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye-bye. All right, line's open for you, 752-6111, 989 area code, of course. How was your sleep last night? You know, today we're asked to do more for less, so when we go to bed, and theoretically we spend a third of our life there, we should get quality sleep. Well, you can get it with a quality mattress from Sanitary Mattress. You can visit all the so-called sleep stores, or you can rest assured your mattress is manufactured right here in the Great Lakes Bay region to your specifications. Now, your time in bed may be cut short by today's demanding world, but you can still get a quality good night's sleep on a Sanitary Mattress. They feature a 1-hour delivery window of your mattress to your home, so you don't have to wait around. And if you have an RV or a boat, Sanitary Mattress will custom make a mattress to your exact size. Box stores can't do that. Visit the Sanitary Mattress Factory and Showroom at 5343 Janes Road in Saginaw, just east of the Harry Brown Airport. Visit them online at sanitarymattress.com or call them at 989-753-1757. Sanitary Mattress, serving the Great Lakes Bay region since 1935.
Jim Wilson, I see the crowd.
But another thing that really concerned me is how come do we think that every one of them people need a hearing before they get deported? They came across the border illegally. They're illegal aliens in this country, and they should be put on buses and sent back.
Absolutely, I agree. And the argument is, well, they're seeking asylum and all that. Well, there's a legal way to do that. You come through the border legally, and then, yes, you deserve due process.
Yes.
But if you break our law right away coming into the country, I don't think you deserve any of that due process.
I don't believe so either. Back when Eisenhower was president, we had this problem back then even, and they asked him how he was going to do this, and he said, "You forget that I was a commander of Europe, American troops in Europe," he says, "and I was responsible for moving these troops all over Europe." He says, "I'll do it the same way I did over there."
Yeah.
Planes, trains, and buses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. And some of them, here's another way to do it, is just starve them out. Cut off their welfare, cut off where you're housing them, and go to these people that are employing them and threaten them with imprisonment, and they'd be on their way. Yeah, I talked to a dairy farmer. I do business with these guys, and they told me that if ICE came there and did a raid on their farm, that they would be out of business in like 2 weeks.
Well, they use migrant workers, yeah.
They do. I told them. I've known these guys for years.
But there's an agricultural migrant policy that allows them to come into the country and work. All they have to do is do it legally.
Exactly right. I ran a business, and we had to have papers on people.
Yep.
Prove that they were citizens before we could hire them.
Yep.
And not, why has it changed so much?
That law went into
effect. They say they can't find nobody to do these jobs. Well, there's so many people on food stamps. You cut off there's so many able-bodied. I have no problem with someone that needs. I do have a little bit of compassion in this old body, but people that are able-bodied need to get out of bed in the morning and go punch a clock the same way I did for all the years that I worked, and all the years that I worked for myself.
Well, that's called work ethic, and I'm afraid we haven't been teaching it as well as we used to.
Well, I guess.
So, all right.
I'll let you go, Art. I just had to drop that in on you.
And
your morning team needs to keep their comedy up. It's very entertaining.
No, I'm glad you like it. Thanks.
All right. You guys have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye now. All right, we're going to take our last break here and close out the hour, and we'll tell you what's ahead on Focus after that.
Boating season.
All right, we're back with you, and that'll do it for the Art Lewis Show for today. Matt Fallon will be in for me tomorrow. I'm on assignment, but I'll be back Wednesday with you. Look forward to it. Stick around on Focus. We're going to learn about B&B trailer sales, business in the area. But before that, news from CBS and, of course, the local report with Michael Percha. I'm Art Lewis. We'll talk to you right around the corner.
Broadcasting from the